Hey fellow wargamers, welcome to our second video. We're going to be going over how to play Age of Sigmar tonight. This, just like our last how to play Warhammer 40,000 video, which you should watch if you haven't, is all about basically just the basic rules of the world of Age of Sigmar. Now, this game's super fun. It's the fantasy side that Games Workshop does for to Warhammer 40,000. Of course, there is Lord of the Rings, but this one's very much magical. It continues the story, high fantasy. It continues the story of the old world into the new lore, basically. And I hear there's a new edition around the corner, so that's pretty exciting. But today we're going to be playing basically just the mission that comes with the Tempest of Souls box set. It's the medium get started box set for Age of Sigmar. It's about 90 bucks, and you get an army of Stormcast and you get an army of Nighthaunt. There is one box that's bigger. It's like $160 or so, and that one comes with like full 1,000-point armies of each, and it's honestly a pretty great deal. You get a lot of models for that price. Though that being said, going into this little disclaimer, the box sets are pretty imbalanced. So the Stormcast are very much weighted to win over the Nighthaunt. So now Duncan did dumpster me in our Warhammer 40,000 game. I'm going to do my best tonight to win with the Nighthaunt, but I don't have high hopes as the box set is a little unbalanced. But it's still super fun, and you get models, and so it's a win-win all the way around. To make it a little more even tonight, I added a unit of Myrmidon Banshees. They're the spirits of women whose husbands have died at sea, and they've come back to like kill and revenge until they've until they've gotten their revenge, basically. But anyway, so we're gonna get started tonight going into that. Again, if you haven't subscribed to us yet on YouTube, please do. We'd appreciate it. And we also will be streaming on Twitch on March 25th. It'll be Warhammer 40,000, a little different than what you're gonna be seeing tonight, but we will be streaming Age of Sigmar as well. So you can also like us on twitch.tv, and that's under Windy City Warlords there as well, same as our YouTube channel. Alrighty, well, let's get started.
So tonight I'm going to be playing Stormcast, like Bailey said, and I'll be running a Knight Incantor, some Evocators to follow suit, Celestar Ballista with some Castigators, which are kind of like crossbowmen, and Sequitors, which are on, I guess you would call them infantrymen. But they definitely are very strong. They, lore-wise, they were reforged by the god of light, because he's from Azir. It's Sigmar. But other than that, they've got a lot of rules for empowering their weapons, because they're born by Sigmar, they're all innately magical. So they give off very powerful lightning-based moves. A lot of their weapons can like bounce through chain lightning. Other ones can be empowered with the actual light. But other than that, I'm going to be playing pretty far back with my casters, while letting my Sequitors take the brunt of his undead, the filthy undead.
Yeah. I'd also like to point out my my really fun color scheme I did here.
I love Christmas.
I know, it's very Christmassy. We got the nice green armor, red capes, and tabards, very nice. Here. So I'm gonna be going over and playing the Nighthaunt. There's some real nasty ghosty boys from the coast, and well, we'll just say the cold got into their bones and they're ready to really mess up some Stormcast. At least I'm gonna try. So tonight I'm running the Gravewrath Stalkers, the Merman Banshees, the Chainrast Horde, the Grimghast Reapers, sorry, and actually Grimghast, gosh, and last but not least, the Lord Executioner. I really like this model. I enjoyed painting it greatly. Just love that big Executioner blade and all the ethereal flame. It's gonna be pretty cool. I'm excited for tonight. This is gonna be good. So we're gonna start off here with Duncan going over just the base rules and kind of what we said before. It's just a base game, so just like our Warhammer 40,000 video, we won't be using like all of the faction rules, just the stuff that you'd get in the base set.
So I will be going over the base rules on how to play Warhammer Age of Sigmar. So the first thing that happens is you both gather your armies, in this case Stormcast versus the Undead. I can't remember the
Nighthaunt.
Thank you. I always get them and Gash mixed up. But what happens is after you guys have mustered your forces, you guys take turns, you roll a dice, and then whoever wins the dice roll gets to deploy first. And then they deploy one unit, and then the opponent deploys the other. So after you guys alternate, whoever finishes deploying their full army first will go first. And then every battle round after the first one, you will roll a dice, and your opponent will as well. And whoever wins the dice roll then goes. So there's a chance for something called double turning, where you went for the second part of the first battle round, and then you won the dice roll, so then you go for the first half of the second battle round, giving you 2 turns back to back. That can be pretty deadly. Hopefully I'll get a couple, and Bailey won't get any. But after priority, then you go on to the hero phase, which both armies do. That's where your characters issue commands that are done during this phase. Most commands usually tell you, these are only done in the charge phase, these are only done in morale, and they will state ahead of time. The 3 that we'll be using today are on the double, which is used during the movement phase when you want a unit to advance. And what advancing is you take their movement, roll a d6, add that to the movement characteristic. So on the double, what it does is it treats it as if you roll a 6. The next one is Forward to Victory. It allows you, as long as you're within 12 inches of a hero, it allows you to re-roll a charge roll, which is very nice because some units get big buffs for being in combat, and that's what they're meant for. So making that charge just a little bit easier by re-rolling it if you botch it, great. And the final one, Inspiring Presence. As long as you're within 12 inches of a hero, you can spend a command point, which you will gain in the hero phase. Usually you start with 0, and then first battle round you gain 1. Though if you take battalions, which are something that we won't get into today, you'll be able to generate more than that. But you can use a command ability at any point to do any of these 3, but the Inspiring Presence one automatically lets you pass a battle shock test. So the other thing that you do in the hero phase is cast spells. Some armies have things called wizards. Hopefully you know what those are, but they are spellcasters. I think I'm the only one on the board with 2 units of casters today, and it is my evocators and my knight incantor. My knight incantor being a full caster, while my evocators are kind of just like a mix. They're kind of like a half and half. Mm-hmm. But after you've resolved all that you wish to do in that phase, you will then move on to the movement phase. Now, movement phase is on each one of their war scrolls, you will see a up in the very top of these little circles, you'll see the movement characteristic. Now, evocators, incanters, everyone on my list isn't that fast, but they make up for it by being pretty tanky and also hitting in pretty hard hits. But that's your movement. The other one you need to know is wounds, because that's how long they can stay on the battlefield before they've suffered too many injuries and they are removed from play. In my case, a lot of mine are pretty tanky at 2 wounds minimum, unlike the Nighthaunt, which I think have 1 wound minimum for a lot of their units. But the difference is I only get I think 15 to 20, and he has, I think, 25. Regardless, I'm making up for it in wounds. The wounds are about the same right now, but other than that, I get more bang for buck, I think. I do for wounds. Anyway, but after you move on to the movement phase, which you'll just take a unit. Oh, I've snagged. It's okay. He'll live another day. He's reforged. But the movement of one of these sequitors is 5 inches. I will measure from the front of their base, pick him up, move him to the 5 inches, take measure out of the way. Boom, he has moved his 5 inches. If I had wished to advance this unit, what would happen is I roll a dice after declaring an advance, and then add that to their movement, and 5 plus 5 is 10, so he gets to move it all the way over here. Usually, if you advance, you can't do much of anything else. It's usually just shooting if you have certain skirmisher type units. But normally, if you advance, you can't really do much of anything else. No shooting and charging, but there are some skirmishers that are allowed to do that. Speaking of shooting, that's the next phase after you get into movement. So, hero, movement, shooting. go into shooting. Any units that have some kind of ranged attack will be able to declare those, and they work from one to the other. So if we were to look at this heavy ballista over here, I'm going to snag one of your banshees. Now, I should bring them over here. But my Celestar ballista over here, it has two different types of weapon profiles. First, the long range, which is a single shot, but it packs just a little bit more of a punch, or the rapid fire. In this case, it's close enough that I'll do the single shot, because it's a little bit easier to hit, a little bit more accurate. I just have to be within 18 inches, so I measure from the ballista to the target. I am 14 or 16 inches away, so I'll be able to declare that shot. And then you would go into the sequence. So first, you roll to see if you can hit the target, and those are nicely on your war scroll. So on a single shot, I get one attack, and it hits on a 3-up. So I rolled a 2, so the sequence ends, and we move on to the next unit of shooting. But let's say we did get a 3, then you would move on to the wound roll. Now, wound rolls are set in stone. They usually determine the skill of the unit. But in this case, it's a 3 again, because the single shot's very accurate. Roll it, I get a 5. So I have made it through the hit and the wound, and then you get something called rend. Now, what rend does is it takes their armor save, and they must add the rend that I have to their save and try to make a pass for it. So what is the save of your Banshee, out of curiosity?
Her Banshee's got a 4-up.
All right, so the Ballista has a rend of 2, so it makes him have to roll a 6 or greater, otherwise he'll take the damage, which is 1 in this case. Luckily, all these are easily read from left to right, like you were reading a book, on the War Scrolls. But other than that, shooting is over. There is one little rule that you have to keep out for, and it is the Lookout Sir. So Lookout Sir is when you shoot an enemy character, pretty sure it's a character. Oh. Yeah. If you try to shoot a character or a hero or a monster that is near another unit of basic infantry, or just any unit actually, they'll have something called Lookout Sir. So they'll get in the way, they'll try to disrupt the shot. But what it'll do is you will get a -1 to your hit roll when firing at that target. So sometimes it's better to clear the chaff first and then work on to the heavy hitters. But that concludes the shooting phase, and then you would move on to the charge phase. Charge phase is you select a unit, select an enemy unit within 12 inches, roll 2 dice. If it's equal to or exceeds the number of inches you need to get one unit to the other, you make the charge. And then when you make the charge, you'll be able to walk in something called engagement range. Now, every unit has, I guess you would call it a threat. So if he had this executioner right here, and I was a little bit closer, and I wanted to walk from here to like right here, but I can't do that because of something called engagement range, which just means I can't get within 1 inch of his model unless I'm making a charge roll into it. So if I wanted to move my 5 inches, I'd actually have to bend around his engagement range. But in this case, we've passed shooting, and we're going to go into the charge phase. So I measure the distance. It's a little bit greater than 2, so I need 3 inches between the two. And there's 7. So easily my Sequitur makes it in. So after you make all charges that you want to make, you will then move on to the fight phase. Once you make that successful charge, you then declare what individual unit wants to swing. In this case, it'll be my Sequitur. So I look at its profile, 2 attacks with its Storm Smite Maul. But 2 attacks, hitting on 3s. I roll my hits, both hits, then I roll to wound. It works the same as shooting, so it's really easy. Sadly, I failed to wound with both of my attacks, and that is my declared attacker over. So then, my opponent gets to choose who he wants to fight back with. Now, there's something in Age of Sigmar called piling in. So what happens is when he declares who he wants to fight, if he has a unit within 3 inches of one of mine, he can quickly jump in and try to join the fight. Luckily, we've got a unit right here that is within 3 inches. So when he gets to choose his fight back, he can either fight back with his Lord Executioner, or he can choose to jump into the fray with his single model over there, his Grimghast. So we will, after I've made my attacks, which I failed to do, then it would move on to him, and he would probably pile in with this, I assume, Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
And then he would make his attacks as if I would, and we would do this until all models that can make an attack have essentially finished theirs. There are some units that can attack twice, but they'll all say on their war scroll, so you won't have to worry about that. After all fights have concluded, you will move on to something called the Battle Shock phase. Now, what that is how many model, or like how brave are your units in the face of adversity, I guess. So, in this case, as Bailey is setting up a model for me, I'll explain it really quickly. You'll essentially roll a dice and add the number of units lost, or models lost in the unit. So if we had all of these, I think there's 10 here. Mm-hmm. So we had these 10, and then we have lost, we'll say 5 of them, just as normal. But if we lost 5 of them, and there were the 5 remaining, because these ones had kicked the bucket, whether through shooting or fighting, once we'd finally made it onto the Battle Shock phase, the Chain Rasp, what you do is you take their bravery, and in this case it's 6, so I'll roll the dice, add the models lost, so that's 10. So the difference between 10 and 6 is 4. That's how many more models have to run, because they've essentially given up and thought it was no longer useful.
Run away.
So now he's left with his single Chain Rasp to fight against the horde of, I think it's Azurite, but one of the metals, but the Shiny Tide. But after Battle Shock, that's pretty much it. Other than that, we'll get into the more niche things as we play, because like cover, mortal wounds, I don't think we have any on the board, but we'll go over those when we get to them. Alrighty, and we are off to the races at the battle plan First Blood. So, I'll read you off the little designer note at the beginning. In the mortal realms, battles are brutal and uncompromising. They are often fought to the bitter end, with the victorious side destroying the foe entirely. However, as all wise generals know, wiping out the opposing force does not in itself guarantee success. If one side slaughters the other but suffers martial casualties, doing so is a victory in pyrrhic nature. Nice. So, long story short, this is just a kill mission, and then you gain an extra command point if you essentially get First Blood. But other than that, it's just kill each other dead. By the end of the final battle round, which I think is 5 for this. After the 5th battle round, you both count up the remaining wounds on the board. Whoever has the most remaining wounds by then wins the game.
Big oof. All right.
Alrighty.
Let's roll off.
3.
1.
But I'll take that. I'll take that as a down. All right. So deployment is literally cut center board. So I will be starting with my Celestar Ballista and its crew. And then after my deployment, it goes right back to Bailey over there. Having trouble with that tape measure?
Yeah, one hand's rough.
All right.
Okay.
Your deployment.
I will deploy. We'll go ahead and put the Banshees out here. Looking for some of this ballista shot. The Hungy. All right.
So next will be my Sequitors.
Since I feel that's a challenge, I'm going to drop my Lord Executioner down right here, facing off these Sequitors.
Alright. Throwing out my Castigators over here.
And my Grimghast are going to take some shelter behind this building. Going to set them up. So they're behind cover. Awesome.
Alrighty. Next, put down my Evocators.
And showing off in numbers, hoping it'll matter. Chain Rasp Horde. And the only problem with playing Horde armies, though this isn't really much of a Horde, it's just 10 models. So it takes longer to set up than the
10 compared to my 5.
True.
And then finally, my Knight Incantator.
Alright. And I'm going to put my Glavewraith Stalkers over here. Give my Lord Executioner some lookouts, sir. Awesome. Alrighty. You ready to roll off?
Nope, because first battle round. Person who finishes deploying first goes first.
That's true. I play too much 40k. Alright. Fair enough.
So, first is the hero phase. My Knight Incantator gets 3 spells, which are Arcane Bolt, which is roll a dice above a 5, you're going to do D3 mortal wounds to a unit. If you roll above a 10, it does D6. And then the other one is Mystic Shield. I get to reroll save rolls of 1. And then my final one is Spirit Storm, which is exclusive to this unit. Has a charge of 7. Each enemy unit within 18 inches of the caster. Each enemy unit within 18 inches of the caster suffers a mortal wound. In addition, until your next hero phase, subtract 1 from running charge rolls of all of those units. So, starting in the hero phase, Knight Incantator is going to fire a shot at them of Mystic Bolt. So it goes off, and you will be taking, I'm pretty sure it's 1, but luckily we've got the wizard page here to make sure of it. Alrighty, so it's just 1 mortal wound. If it's above 10, it does D3. I got that wrong. So you will be suffering 1 mortal wound, which is a wound you cannot save.
Zap to pieces. Raggedy bones and cloth fall to the ground. No longer animated.
Alright, and then my evocators also, as long as there's 2 in the unit, which there are, they count as having a wizard keyword, which means they can cast spells. And they only get 1 spell, which is the Empower one. They pick a friendly Redeemer or Sacrosanct unit. I don't have any Redeemers or Sacrosants, so they actually aren't going to cast any spells. So I will be moving on to the movement phase. So my warrior is going to move 5 inches. I'm going to challenge that. Now there is something of note for Age of Sigmar, and it's you cannot be within 3 inches of an enemy unit when you finish your movement. So it has that one of note that I forgot to talk about in the movement phase. It's so that it gives you a chance to lose a charge even if you're right up in their face. Though there's some sneaky things you can do in the fight phase, which we will be showing off. They're going to actually stand still. So after the movement phase, you go into the shooting phase. I will be starting with the Celestar Ballista. So, I don't have line of sight on them, sadly. So I will be firing the single shot of the ballista towards your Lord Executioner. Now, looking at it, it has a couple of rules. There's one that gives bonuses to the save roll, which I won't be needing here, but the Chain Lightning is of note. Each time you roll a hit roll for the attack with this unit using Stormbolt, if the attack inflicts D6 hits instead of 1. Oh, that's really good. All right, so my single shot, because, yep, they're both Stormbolts, so they both meet the parameter. So first, 1 attack, but for every attack it makes D6 hits. So 2 hits. So 2 hit is 3s. Both hit, because it would have been a 3 to hit, but a 4 because of the lookout, sir. Luckily, I rolled 2 5s, so then to wound would be 3s.
Oh,
sadly, getting
eyes.
none of them.
Oh.
So
Too scary, man. Can't look down the sights if you're looking at a face of death.
oh, let's see about that. So next, I'm going to move on to the Thunderhead Great Bows from my Castigators. So 18 inches is the range. Luckily, easily all within. So It has a special rule called etheric channeling. Start of the shoot phase, you must say what unit will increase the accuracy or the power of the bow. If you choose accuracy, reroll hit rolls of 1 for the unit. If you choose power, then its rend is increased to 2 instead of 1.
Spicy.
And it has also burst of celestial energy. If I roll a 6 to hit, I get D3 additional hits on top of my regular ones. If I'm fighting demon or Nighthaunt.
Very convenient.
So
And these are going into where?
These are going into your chain rasps.
My chain rasps. All right.
So 3 attacks, and I'm going to increase the accuracy. So I'm going to reroll hit rolls of 1. Sadly, didn't need that. No 6s either, so 2 hits. I need a 3 up to wound. Getting one of them with a rend of 1 into your chain rasps.
That I have a normal regular save of 5 up, so adding that rend of 1 will make it a 6 up save. See if my guy can pull it off. Almost saw a 6, but a 4, so another chain rasp bites the dust.
Another one bites the dust. Alrighty. Ballista, casting. I think that's all of my ranged attacks. Alrighty. So after the shooting phase, you're gonna move on to the charge phase. Honestly, my favorite, because my personal army is lizardmen. Really, really good at melee. So I'm gonna be charging into both of those units. So luckily, I only need to reach one of them to complete the charge. But 5 would be nice so I can tie up his lord as well. Now, when I make a charge roll, you roll 2 dice. So I got a 9. Luckily, that'll be enough for these guys to get in. So starting with the first guy, he's actually going to... there's no way I can get out of that.
Yeah,
Doom looms regardless.
My boys got too chunky.
Yeah, it's fine.
Stabbed.
It's fine.
All right.
They'll be fine. So, something of note when you get into melee. All weapons actually have a range indicator on how far they're able to swing. Things like swords and hammers and maces, all of them have about 1 inch. So, luckily, that usually just means base to base. Though, there are things like spears, which can get you 2 inches, and then some things like Great Dane axes that I think can get you 3 inches if you're the dwarves. But luckily, just only 1 inch. So I will measure my base to his. Sadly, this last Secutor will not be able to make any attacks. But the other 4 will most likely be able to.
Definitely according to plan.
So this guy over here is actually going to attack your Lord Executioner, but the other 3 are going to go into your Spear Bony Boys. So let's see. They get 2 attacks apiece, so 6 for them. I'll be starting into them, to your actual warriors versus the character. So I have 1 Great Maul, which is a little different. I'm going to roll it separately because it has a different stat block. Also, they have etheric channeling as well, but theirs allows them to either channel into their maces or their melee weapons or their shields. In this case, I'm going to pick the melee weapons, which just means I get to reroll hit rolls. So, first these 2, hitting on 3s. Get these dice out of the way. Luckily, I chose that channeling. So, 3 hits, wounding on 3s. Oh no, you might actually beat me given my luck. So 1 at no rend.
All right. Which I totally forgot last time when I rolled for my chain rasp, but we are ethereal, which means we don't take modifiers to our saving throws, which helps us out a little bit in this fight. So I got 1, and it's going into my Glabrace Stalkers, so I have a 4-up save, which I do make.
Alrighty. So then moving on to the mace, this one actually has a special rule for itself, which is if I roll a hit roll of 6, it does D3 instead of 1, but only against demons and Nighthaunt. Lucky me. So hitting on 3s.
Oh.
No.
No, it's 2 6s, by the way.
It's 2 6s, and the awe afterwards by me was the fact that I rolled 1s on my D3. So only 4 hits. Alrighty. So then wounding on 3s. So 3 of them, and because you said you're ethereal, no rend.
All right. Lord Executioner needs that 4-up save. Making one of them. How much damage is he taking?
So the Great Mace has a special. It's big two-handed. It does 2 damage per hit.
2 damage per hit. All right. Knocking me down to 1 wound. Pretty rough. All right.
So that'll be my unit to attack. So then it is up to Bailey to pick his unit to attack.
We'll start with the Lord Executioner, see if he can get some spicy things off here. So he needs 3s to hit.
Any special rules?
Nah, he does have 1. So it'll be heading strike, but that's for my wound roll. So first off, 3s to hit, hitting with all 3. And then needing 3s to wound, because he's got a decapitating great axe. The rule for this is beheading strike. On a 6-up, I add 2 damage to the characteristic of the weapon's attack.
Oof.
Which can be pretty good. So, nice. So I'm wounding with all, and 1 is doing 3 damage. The rend is -2.
So I will do the 3 damage one right now. So I need a 6-up save because I have a base 4. Sadly, I do not make it. Now, Sequitors have 2 wounds base. Now, here's something interesting about AOS, is an acronym for Age of Sigmar. But essentially, attacks can cleave. So in this case, all my Sequitors only have 2 wounds. So when they take 3, it kills one outright through a decapitating strike, and then brings one down to 1 wound. So I'm going to remove a Great Hammer and bring another model down to 1 wound. And then you said I have 2 more to make it render 2?
Yes, sir.
So I will continue on those, making one of them, but failing the other. How much damage?
That is 1 damage on that one.
Sadly bringing out the final, so I'm not too good for me, but I can come back. All right. So then it goes back to me. I have no more units that are eligible to fight, so it's essentially up to Bailey to continue the fight phase.
All right, my guys, you get a thing called Pylon at the beginning of the fight. So let Duncan have that right there. My guys get to move in up to 3 inches. Though, don't have to do too much moving, since, for the most part, all my spears have a 2-inch range. There's some real pokey boys. So they're here to... Oh no, Lord Executioner is a little wobbly. And he's does not want to let go. All right, so the Glaberry Stalkers will attack. They each have 2 attacks apiece. There's 5 of them, so that will be 10. We get to re-rail. Oh, we did not charge extra, so never mind. So no re-rolling. Not today. So hitting on 4s. Very good roll for me. And then wounding on 3s. Not too shabby either. That's going to be 6 wounds that the Stormcast have to take at no rent.
All right. So 6 4-up. Making 2 of them. How much damage per piece?
Just 1.
That's still 2 dead Sequitors, so 1 dead, and the other dead.
Perfect.
Bumped.
All right, awesome. Looks like the only one taking battle shock this round will be Duncan.
Yeah. Can your wraiths get in? Not sure.
Not for Pylon, I don't think. I think I'm a little out of 3 inches. Yeah, a little out of 3 inches, sadly.
Alrighty. So, after the charge phase has resolved, we go into the battle shock. Now, I lost 4 models. I'm gonna look at their leadership. They are leadership or bravery 7. So, roll the dice, add the lost models.
Oof.
Ooh. So that is a 10, leaving the final one to book it. He doesn't feel like...
Doesn't like
Zero
sticking
is
around
needed
after watching
here.
his men get stabbed to death.
After one of them being beheaded and lodging the axe in the other. Alrighty, so that'll be the end of my first round, taking more casualties than I'd like. But, on to Bailey.
Okay, so getting started here. Hero phase. I don't have any heroic abilities to do or any magic in this scenario. So
I'll go ahead and move through those first 2 phases real fast and go straight into movement. So my Glaive Ray Stalkers have a move of 6 inches. So they are going to get up as close and as personal as they can to these guys. Of course, given, that 3 inches. We're going to they come screeching through the mist at our brave ballista crew. My Lord Executioner will also move 6 inches too. These guys are very fast. He's going to run up as well. And the Mirmorn Banshees have an 8-inch move. Very speedy. And they are going to advance up on this as well.
I'm starting to regret where I put my ballista.
Little did we know the spears would be so sharp. All right, oh my gosh. They're holding hands, let's keep them up. Okay, so next, my Chain Rasp Horde with their 6-inch move will move up to 3 inches away from my opponent here. They slowly creak their way up the board. And my, last but not least, my Grim Hast Reapers with an 8-inch move as well will come screaming up the board also. This looks like it's going to be a very fruitful close combat phase for me, hopefully. We'll reap some souls. So, moving out of movement, no pun intended, I will be charging. We'll start off with I'm just going to go from right to left. We'll start with the Glaive Ray Stalkers. So they're going to go straight into the ballista. They need a whopping, 5 inches I'm looking at to make it into combat. So we roll our charge, getting 8. That looks pretty good to me. So they're going to jump in here as close as they can to this fella. Yeah, and now with that 2-inch stabby range, that's really nice in this scenario since my back rank can use their spears. My Lord Executioner is going to try to squeeze in on for some sugar with an 11-inch charge. They were very mad at the sporadic shooting that happened. And then last but not least, the Banshees come screeching in with 10.
Oh boy.
I'm going to say right now, this is looking very, very good for my combat stats. I'm very excited. Though, you'll get to see what happens when you have multiple combats across the battlefield. Next, my Chain Rasps, feeling very brave, are going to charge into the Evocators. They get 6 inches, them being only 3 inches away, allow for us to quickly surround our opponents with our groaning, rasping horde of these undead gentlemen. And last but not least, I'm going to try to make, this is my longest charge I've had to make so far, a 6-inch charge for my Grimghast Reapers, getting a 3. Ah, rough.
Would you like to use your command point?
I would like to use my single command point that I got.
Forward to victory. Are you? No, actually, you can.
I am not with any hero, actually, so I cannot.
Haha.
I cannot. They just have to stay out of combat, which is going to give those arrow boys some fun to shoot at. So let's go ahead and jump into the fight phase to begin with, the combat phase. And I think I will start with my Chain Rasps, because I do not think they will live if they get to fight. If they don't get to fight. So each of them has 2 attacks, which is not too shabby.
Really isn't that many with.
No. So 18 attacks altogether. The Dread Warden gets to add 1 to his attack characteristic since he is their champion. And unfortunately, we do not have more than 10 models, so we cannot reroll wound rolls of 1 for this unit. But here we go. We need 4 to hit. This was a lot of dice. And it went as decently as can be expected. And then needing 4s to wound. That was a little harder. It's going to be 3 wounds on the Evocators at no rend today.
Alright, so 4 up is what I need. Making 2 of them, losing 1 wound. Now, how much is the damage?
Damage is 1.
Alright, awesome. So, my Evocators goes down to 2 wounds.
Alright, fantastic. Now that's the end of my first attack choice. So Duncan now gets to pick any of his units that are engaged in combat here for their attack.
I'm going to start with the Ballista. Just because I'm going to try to get ahead of the curve here. I'm going to try to take out that champion if possible. So Sigmarite blades are only 1 inch. Oh no, I actually cannot fight him.
Well placement on my part, I believe.
So I'm going to start with this one, who will be going into your gloom, like glaive
Wraith stalkers. Okay.
All right. So 4 attacks. They are nothing to joke at in melee. So hitting on 4s, hitting on 2 of them. Sadly, they do not get the nice melee buff that my other unit had. And then wounding on 4s as well, with only 1 wound with no rend.
So we out ethereal. So they need they have a 4-up save, and they get a 5.
Alrighty, so then moving on to the other one. Going into the Banshees. Do the Banshees have any minuses to hit or anything like that?
The Banshees do not.
All right.
They do? No, they do not. Never mind. Sorry.
So, hitting with all of them. Wounding with 3 of them with no rend.
No rend. So we need 4-up saves for these guys. Seems to be a trope. And
no.
my goodness. They are very, very screamy and mean today. We get to just skate through that fight phase unscathed. So,
How does it feel about that comment at the beginning of the box being unbalanced?
I know. This is going very well. We're going to start with the Lord Executioner, I think. He's going to swing at the... question, Duncan. Can I actually swing at this ballista itself, or do I have to swing at the crew?
Yes, you can try to break the ballista. So the ballista and crew are all 1 wound characteristic at 7 wounds in total. So it's roughly 3 wounds for the ballista. But I don't have to remove any of them from a card, it looks like, unless... Nope, I don't have to remove anyone if they take a certain amount of wounds. So
Perfect. So Lord's Execution will start out with 3 attacks. He's needing 3s to hit. Oh, missing with 2. And then needs 3s to wound. Remember, 6 to something special. Oh, they're very nice. So that will be 1 wound at -2 rend.
6-up save. Do not make it.
3 flat damage.
So
Bam!
brings me down to 5. No, 4.
The Tom Brady of the Nighthaunt right there. Let me tell you.
No. Alrighty, so then hopping over here to my... I'm actually going to go to my Knight Incanter, who is going to jump into the fight.
A little bit closer. Piling in, getting in there.
So she has 3 attacks. Ooh, she gets Spirit Flasks.
They are splash damage, though.
Yeah.
May not be the time to hurt yourself.
I know, I think it might be the good time, but I'll heed your wisdom, undead. So 3 attacks, hitting on 3s. All hits.
Very nice, very nice.
No special rules for 6s. Wounding on 3s. So 2 of them. And then it has a rend of 1, Bailey.
Luckily, ethereal, we do not mind. So 5-up saves on the Chain Rasps. And unfortunately, we miss both. So she chops her way through 2 of them.
It's D3 damage each.
Oh, she might hurt us a lot more than we think.
Woo! So 5.
Okay, so in that case, I'm going to lose 5 of my Chain Rasps. Very painful. Now, you may have noticed that I did not take from the middle. And the reason for that being is if I was to take models from the middle and leave them separated, you have to choose the smaller amount of figures, and at the end of the combat phase, because they're no longer in coherency, they have to run away from the battle. So it's always super important to remember that to keep your models connected to each other within an inch so that they don't run away. Mm-hmm. All right.
Back to you.
Back to me. We're going to go ahead and jump in with these, the Glaive Wraith Stalkers again here. So
this time they charged.
This time they did. Very nice. Very nice. All right, so got 8, 9, 10 attacks. To reroll failed hit rolls. We're trying to hit on 4s. Ooh, pretty tasty roll. And to get to reroll those, everything hitting.
Oh no!
Very nice. All right, and we're wounding on 3s. Let's look like an almost complete wound roll, which is very nice. That'll be 7 wounds at no rend on the ballista.
All right. Ooh, this is not looking good for the Sigmar's chosen. Needing 4s, making 4 of them, taking 3. What's the damage?
Just 1 apiece.
Alrighty.
So living with 1. A hero.
A broken ballista.
Your next eligible unit, sir.
Which will be my, not my Sequitors, my Evocators, which get a lot of attacks. So.
Sequitors are dead.
Huh?
What?
Yeah.
What? I was talking to your audience.
Oh, no. 4, 8. So, Evocators, and I get 1 more attack because of the Prime.
Ooh.
So, 9 attacks. Hitting on 3s. Nope, okay, that's good. Awesome. So, 4 fails. Prime's pulling the weight of the crew. Wounding on 3s. All wound. Alright,
Nice.
so 5 of them with a rend of 1.
The chain wraps. Again, give the finger to your end. And need 5s. Looks like we're saving 2 of them, but 3 will go through. What's the damage on your blades?
Just 1 on these.
Just 1, so 1 rasp will live, though it's not looking super good for his battle shock phase.
I think you fail.
I think he just runs. So for the sake of the game, well, we'll wait till the end of the phase so that we display what would normally happen. Last but not least, my Mirror Banshees are going to attack. They only have 1 attack each, so they're pretty trash. But they get to eat spells, which I forgot about in the last time the wizard tried to cast something funky. But I'll have to remember that next time. All right.
Will there be a next time?
There may not be a next time. We'll see. So, needing 3 attacks. We're hitting on 4s with these guys. So 1 hit. Wounding on 3s. That's a wound. Is it enough?
Potentially brings it down.
-2 rend?
Ooh, 6 up.
D3 damage. So it looks like we're looking at 3 damage, which
That's
is
2
enough.
overkill.
Stab, 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 stab. It's a shank fest. It's a shank fest. The only people shank here are the Skaven, and they're not here, so we got to represent. All right. All right. Perfect. Well, that's the end of the combat phase. Duncan has no more eligible units, and I have no more eligible units, so therefore, my last guy cannot even make his battle shock test, I do not believe. Nope, unfortunately not. So he is just going to flee, which, to be fair, I would too. So, there we go. Very nice.
So that resolves first battle round.
For the first round in completion, and we'll be heading into round 2.
Alrighty, so we will be starting the second battle round, which we both get to roll off for.
That's true. Ooh.
So it will be a repeat of last turn. Casters. Knight Incanter has a special spell. What's the range? 18 inches. Ooh. I'm actually going to cast her special ability, which is the Spirit Storm. So it is a warp charge of 7, or a casting charge of 7. There's no way to reroll it, finally. I'm also at 2 command points. If you guys were curious, I have decided to hold on to them to this point. But I have failed that spell. Moving the Evocators, something I noticed. All Evocators have the Sacrosanct keyword. So they're going to actually target themselves with the spell. With a 6 needed, it goes off. So they're rerolling wound rolls.
All right. Didn't need it last turn at least.
Yeah.
That was a slaughter.
All right. So that is the end of my hero. So then moving on to movement. Very awesome. 3 inches from your base.
Things are going to get real exciting over here, I got a feeling.
Alrighty. So end of movement is shooting. I'm just real curious about my dead pile of cards. So 18 inches is the range. All right. So these 3 are going to be shooting into the not the chain rasps, the
Grimghast?
Grimghast. Yep.
All right.
So
These guys right here.
1 attack apiece. The prime hits on 2, so normal prime separately. And I will be doing accuracy. So, hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s.
And that's due to accuracy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So hitting on both, and then really quickly the prime also hits. So all 3 hits. And the wound with the great bows. All 3 wound with a rend of 1, but you're ethereal, so.
Eating 4-ups to try to save this. Not saving any. Oof, what's the damage?
1 apiece. So
All right.
3 damage.
3 gone. 3 in the back just get shredded. Now, the reason why I'm taking him from the back is it's going to make his charge a little harder with these bad boys.
More melee focused units. So that's the end of my shooting. So then moving on to the charge. Bending around the terrain is a 6-inch charge. So rolling 2 dice. Making it anyway.
9, they don't care. Charging in, they're like, oh yeah, I bet our ballista guys over there are doing great. Definitely doing great.
It's more flesh for the fodder. And then my Knight Incantor is not going to charge. Mostly because it'll be really hard to climb over this terrain because I gotta go up it and then back down it. So it'd be 2 inches, then 2 inches of 4. It'd be a 10-inch charge if I wanted to get in. I'll try it. Why not? No,
Negatory. She's staying where she's at.
Alrighty, so the ones in the front are gonna just, wait it out because they believe the evocators have it on lock. So, out of the charge, into the fight. Each one gets 4 attacks, and the prime actually gets 1 more.
For a whopping 9.
So hitting on 3s with 2 failures, and then wounding on 3s, but rerolling the failed wound roll because of the empower spell that went off. Alrighty, so that looks like 7 at a rend of, doesn't matter because it's ethereal.
Alright, ready to see a bunch of high rolls? That was pretty good, I gotta say. I almost make it, but sadly that 1 and that 3 do me in. Bellboy off the board. Chop.
And
alright.
There's no other combats on the board.
Correct.
So morale happens. I didn't lose any models. The ones that he did lose are.
Yeah.
So I will not.
You going to concede? Going to concede? Okay.
I'm going to pass my turn. I'm always
It's
going to
be
that problem.
It's going to be a theme in these
Yeah.
in these videos.
Alrighty. So then I will be passing it to Bailey's turn. I'm gonna mess that up so many times.
Alrighty. So start off with, again, no command abilities, no magic. So we're just going to go right into movement. And so if I'm looking here, I'm going to kind of measure out, do some math. 8 inches there, 11-inch charge there. So we are going to play the careful game. And we're going to move forward 8 inches. But we're going to kind of stay behind cover here as best as we can. Lord Executioner, same with him, though he's a pretty tall boy. He's going to advance up to there. Followed by the 6-inch move of these fellas. The big name of the game right now is not getting shot to death. So, I don't have any shooting. I don't have any charging. No one fought or died, so that's no morale. That's a very quick turn for me. Roughly about 30 seconds. And I will end my turn.
Alrighty, so then we roll for priority again.
Ooh. Woo! Now, this is what I wanted to happen. This is the double turn for me. And now, I might have a chance of getting in and messing some things up. So, we're going to go ahead, and the Merman Banshees are going to move 8 inches again. Going to run up the board. Very fast turns. Hiya. Hiya. And of course, skipping my command and magic phase. The Lord Executioner can fly. Wanted to point that out.
Oh.
This is an important rule because he's technically a flying model. It means he can go over terrain
Without having to climb it and then climb back down.
Correct. That's the same for almost all my models, which is a pretty good rule.
Just saying. These 6 guys, you know what? They're going to run. So I'm going to go ahead and roll a dice. 3 inches for 9. And yeah, that seems pretty good to me. We'll come charging here. Now remember, because I ran them, it means I cannot charge. But at least they'll be up here. Maybe they can help out next turn. All right, going into the charging step, my Mirman Banshees are going to go right into those boys with the crossbows. So they need a 6-inch charge. Roll my dice, getting 9. Definitely what I needed. We're going to come around here, swoop in, screeching away. Very salty about our men getting killed. So we're going to kill some men in return. That's how that works. This Lord Executioner is going into her. He needs a 3-inch.
Oh, I saw that too.
8 inches. It was close. He's in there. All right. So, the start of my turn, I'm going to talk a little tactics here. So, I got 2 fights that are going to happen. Now, I get to do 1 attack first, and Duncan gets to do the next. So, my Lord Executioner is down to 1 wound. So, I'm going to swing with him first, because though he may kill a Banshee or 2, I'm pretty confident they'll still get to make some kind of attacks on those guys. Where I am not sure if I did them first, that my Lord Executioner would get to fight, because she's pretty mean. So we're going to start off with the Lord Executioner with 3 attacks. He is going to swing in. He needs 3s. Oh, missing with 2. Only 1 remaining. See if he gets that 6. No, he doesn't even get the wound. My gambit has not paid off very well. So Duncan gets to swing in next.
And using his tactics against him, now that he is attacked with his Lord Executioner, I'm free to attack whenever I feel like it. So I'm going to try to jump the gun ahead of time and swing with my bows.
All right.
So they get, with their stocks, they get 2 attacks apiece. Hitting on 4s.
Not too bad.
2 fails. And then wounding on 4s as well, with 3 of them at no rend.
Roman Banshee's coming in with 4 ups, hopefully. Making 2, only losing 1. And we're only 1 wound, so 1 will die. We'll take this chick.
Alrighty. And back to you.
Staying back with the Merman Banshees. 3 attacks. Not super exciting, but their daggers are pretty scary. So we need 4s to hit, hitting with 2. Needing 3s to wound, wounding with both, and that will be 2 wounds at rend of 2.
Alrighty, 2 wounds at a rend of 2. Puts my bowman at a 6-up save, making neither.
D3 damage apiece.
Alrighty,
This could go very well. So, 1 damage and 3. So 4 damage total.
Ooh. Now, my castigators have 2 wounds apiece, so I lose 2 of them. And then onto the final combat, to my knowledge, will be my Knight Incantor with 3 attacks. Hitting on 3s. Ooh.
Oh no. 1s.
Battle of the Pool Noodles.
1s.
Wounding on 3s.
Someone play Reigns of Castamere.
Yeah. So I successfully wounded, and it's 1 rend, but ethereal, so
I will take my 4-up save.
Yes.
No.
D3 damage, regardless of what I roll, he kicks the bucket. With a
1. Just enough. I get skewered. The Lord Executioner woofs from existence. Woof. Alright.
Alright, and that
Concludes my top of my turn, moving on to Duncan's bottom of turn.
Yeah, because looking at the last thing of his battle shock that he skipped really quickly, 7. I have a chance to fail my leadership here.
True, so we don't want to miss that.
I am
but
good
he's
to
the
go.
one. This lovely lady will be staying in the fight.
Alrighty. So, hero phase. I am going to cast. I'm going to cast Mystic Shield on myself here. Now, Mystic Shield is a spell that, isn't really an offensive spell as much as it is defensive. That allows me to reroll save rolls. I have 1. Oh no! As I butcher the spell itself, needing a 6 and getting a 4.
Oh, very sad.
And then the Evocators are just gonna empower themselves again.
Now, Duncan, is that a spell?
It is.
All right. Does it go off?
It does not. It needed a 6.
Ah, shoot. All right.
Yeah, I thought your Banshees were gonna do something slick, huh?
They wanted to eat something. They're hungry.
Alrighty.
Hungry.
Hero face down, movement.
Oh. Oh.
You have no power here, Knight Incantor, lady.
Face the foe. Alrighty, so, and movement. You can shoot in melee combat, but with a -1.
It's true.
So I will be shooting my bow really quick with a 3, and I'm actually going to, giving you ethereal, there's no point in doing power because that Ren's not going to help me too much.
True.
So I'm going to go for accuracy. Hits. Wounds. Rend of 1 damage. So
6. They do not care.
Alrighty. So, and
Sorry.
shooting.
That's more
Great
akin to their
sound.
noise, yeah.
So making that 3-inch charge.
Oh, 4 inches, boys. Look at that. 4 inches. Oh.
And then should be 3 inches for that first model. Making that 6. So
I'm on the edge of my seat. It's anybody's game. Anybody's game. So, word of wisdom, if you buy this set, spend the $15 and get the Merman Banshees to add in, because apparently it makes this way more even.
honestly. Alrighty. So, I'm gonna start over here with my evocators because I believe in the durability of my Knight Incantor. So 9 attacks, hitting on 3s.
Not too shabby. They get to reroll those 3?
Reroll wounds.
Ah. Oh, that's good. No, that's good. But that helped out there. There's always one.
Yeah. So 5 with some added rend, ethereal.
All right, 4 ups. Here we go. Come on, ladies. Come on. Oh, dang it. Not a 1. So those evocators seriously ruined these Banshees' day. Shoot. All right. Well, we're going to swing back with these poker boys. So,
Piling in your 3 inches.
yeah, luckily that 2-inch stabbing range is pretty nice. So we'll be swinging in with 2 attacks each. 1 extra for the, oh, nope. Nope.
Might be again
Nope.
the chain.
I'm thinking of the other boys who are now dead. So, we don't get to any reroll failed hits because we didn't charge, but we're hitting on 4s. Oh my goodness, that is a lot of skulls. A lot of skulls. So only 3. Only 1 wound today. 1 wound and no rend on the Knight Incantor.
3-up save. We're good.
Oof.
I get to do my swing back. So, 3 attacks, hitting on 3s. Uh-oh.
That is what we call a cocked dice, folks. That hits.
It does. Wounding on the 3.
Oh! All right.
Continues.
All right.
So, end of combat. You didn't lose anything. I didn't lose anything outside of the,
Yeah, they're gone.
Alrighty, so that will be the end of that.
We roll again.
Yep.
Top of turn 4. 2. Oh no.
It's I who gets the double turn now. So, doing my hero phase, I'm actually going to pop those spirit flasks.
Ooh. See, now's the time because he kind of wanted to use them, and he's got these guys over here for backup. So let's have a little fun. This is like letting the second string onto the field in the last 15 minutes of a football game.
Honestly. Alrighty.
And not because I don't play any better, but they can make some more. They can have more fun. That's at least what they always told me.
So I'm gonna pop 3 spirit flasks. If you do, each unit within 3 inches suffers a mortal wound, equal to the number of spirit bottles shattered. So you'll lose 3 mortal wounds here.
Oh my gosh.
If there were 10 of them, they would have suffered D3 for each one.
Oh my gosh.
And then I take it myself. So you just take 3 mortal wounds.
Oh gosh. All right. Well, that's very not good for these bad boys. They only got 1 wound apiece, so 3 of the stabbers are gone.
And then you allocate them.
Maybe I should have stuck to sports, not play tabletop games.
All
At least I got to play.
right. After all, then it affects my character. So bringing her down to 2 wounds. So.
Yes.
Oh, well, that's the combat phase. I had to do that. So actually, I'm just rapidly hopping ahead. So now I'll do my combat.
All right.
So 3 attacks.
Oh no!
I may have, jumped the gun here a little bit too quickly. Wounding on 3s. No!
Oh no!
Oh boy.
boy. So Duncan, would you like to explain what just happened for our viewers as far as the skipping of steps and the repercussions that may have?
So I got super excited about one ability, Spirit Flasks, and I jumped ahead to the combat phase to use it because I was super excited for it. Downside is, because I jumped so far ahead, I had to skip everything else. So I lost out on my shooting, I lost out on my moving, and the charging of both units to clean up house. So sadly, after making both those botches, I'm left very vulnerable. With 2 wounds remaining, I could be kicked off the board here for my captain.
And for the record, what you saw from my part could be taken as poor sportsmanship for not pointing out to Duncan that he had move forward since this is not a competitive game. I also was really excited for the Spirit Flasks. Just because, it could hurt him too. But so I was not paying attention. So, mubby. All right. But now, this could make it a little more interesting. So, 4 attacks from the poker boys. Ooh. So we need 4s on these ones. So that's 2. And 3s to wound.
No.
2 wounds. No rend. Will she botch it?
2 3-ups.
Oh, no.
It saved itself.
It's true. She lives. All right.
It's into my turn.
So let's go ahead and move on to that bravery. We do have a bravery at 10. We lost 3. Can't fail it, so they're sticking around. So me swinging back. So I could choose to fall back if I wanted to, but that would be kind of ludicrous in this scenario. So we're going to try to get her. So 4 attacks. Again, needing those 4s. Hitting with 3 this time. It's a little more promising. And wounding on 3s. 2 more wounds, no rend. We'll see if we get her this time. Oh no! We got her! She's a goner! She's a goner. Sorry to your ears for my shrieks, but she is gone. Yes! Oh, yes. Okay.
Oh boy.
And that's why I stopped playing sports and started playing Warhammer, to come back to my last comment. Okay, that's a rush. That's the end of my turn. So,
Top of 5.
Top of 5, roll, we'll see what happens. That's a 6 to my 1, Duncan gets it.
Now, I could, given how many wounds are left on the board for the match we're playing, I could just run and just stay away from him, but
Very
there's no
rude.
fun in that.
Nah. Remember, fun takes precedent. If you're not playing a competitive game, fun always takes precedent. You should always have fun.
And the only hero phase is the Empower, but I'm going to just go ahead and skip that. I've totally learned my lesson. Totally just didn't skip it again. Unless Bailey would allow me to go back and do it.
I will allow it in this scenario.
Goes off. So, rerolling wound rolls.
Great success.
Oh. So, 1 bow left. 1 attack, going for accuracy. Hits. Wounds. Rend of 1, doesn't matter, ethereal.
4 up, gets it, don't care.
Alright, so then
Take your fancy pants elsewhere, sir.
Charging with an 8.
All right.
Box
12, holy cow. Where was that?
Where was that on my save?
Where was Boxcars?
Where's
Boxcars when the Knight in Cantor fell?
Alrighty. So, and my archer's just gonna stay back. I believe. Again, I have faith in my models.
There we go. That's what a coward looks like.
This is not a coward.
That's what a coward looks like.
It's a crossbow. What do you want me to run in and just elbow drop you a crossbow?
It would be very thematic.
Hitting on 3s. I don't think you'll get the chance given how well these evocators have been doing.
True.
And then wounding on 3s. Rerolling because of the Empower. So 5 of them. The Rend does not matter against you.
Alas. Already right there I can see. The nice hidden 6. Can already see that is an F fails, meaning the Nighthaunt take the L. But that was a much more exciting game than I was expecting going into that. So again, buy that box, and it's $90, and then invest yourself some some Banshees for $15.
I like that, but go halvesies
That's a
with a
good-
friend. Make it a little bit cheaper. Then you both can, you know, play the game together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well played, sir.
GG.
All right. And we'll see you next time. Everybody have a good night.